Welcome to Deer Haven Renewable Generating Station Contractor Orientation. The following rules and procedures have been developed to protect the employees and equipment of GRU Energy Supply. It is not meant to be all-inclusive, nor does it relieve any contractor of their responsibility as defined in the contract or compliance with any federal, state, or local regulations. Security ID, access, and badging. All contractors must adhere to the following security, ID, and access and badging procedures. All contractors must check in and out with plant security guard. Must have a valid form of ID to work on site. Complete the site safety orientation prior to work. Wear site issue access badge in a visible fashion at all times while working at the facility. Contractors are only permitted in areas assigned for work. Contractor responsibilities. Contractors are responsible for the following: the safety of their employees, any subcontractor they may employ, as well as the GRU property within the scope of their work. The use of barrier tapes as required. Barrier tape must be obtained from and logged in the control room and unlogged after the job is completed. Check in with the GRU representative and/or the control room. Must obtain all appropriate permits prior to work. All contractors must walk down the system, sign on to the LOTO clearance, other required permits, the pre-task checklist, and attached a personal lock to key control box prior to work. At the end of the workday, all contractors must sign off the LOTO, other permits, and remove personal locks from the key control box in the control room. The pre-task checklist must be completed by marking yes or no in the job complete column. All permits are good for 12 hours only. Follow all safety policies and procedures within the work scope. Ensure all electrical cables are routed on a cable tree and not on the ground. Hoses from service equipment and/or trailer must be routed in a manner which will not pose a hazard or get damaged. Traffic pattern and parking areas. The flow of traffic on site is one way only. If you are behind the boiler, traffic may flow in either direction. Parking areas are indicated by a red star on the map. Please park along the side of the roadway in the grassy area as indicated by posted signs. Trucks needed beyond the contractor general parking area shall request a parking pass from the GRU representative and must be displayed on the windshield or the vehicle. The following rules applies to passenger vehicles. Sitting, standing in the bed, running boards, tailgates, or toolboxes is prohibited. A vehicle operator shall use a spotter if visibility is impaired when backing up. Unattended vehicles are to remain in park. Large service vehicles' wheels must be chalked when parked. Running vehicles shall not be left unattended. Passenger vehicles may be subjected to search by authorized GRU personnel. Heavy vehicles. Personnel who operate cranes, other heavy vehicles, and forklifts on GRU sites must have a valid certification. These types of vehicles must be chalked while parked. Designated smoking area. There is one designated smoking area in the plant, located between the administration and water treatment buildings. Please ensure cigarette butts are extinguished and disposed of in the receptacles provided. Use of smokeless tobacco products are as follows. Smokeless tobacco use inside GRU buildings is not permitted. Spitting smokeless tobacco in trash cans or on the floor is not permitted. Spit must be collected in a container that must be capped before disposal, such that others handling trash will not be exposed. Severe weather. GRU employees and contractors working outside will be alerted in the event of severe weather. You will hear air horn alert to take cover. 3 air horn blasts and/or PA announcement will start the stand down from outside work. Employees and contractors should seek shelter in an enclosed building or vehicle. A single air horn blast will end the stand down and outside work may resume. Emergencies. In the event of an emergency, the contractor must notify the control room at 352-393-0620. State the type of emergency and location. State the severity of the emergency. Give the number you are calling from for a callback. Emergency muster locations. In the case of an emergency that warrants a head count, you will hear 3 air horn blasts, at which time you must proceed to a muster station. The primary muster location is the administrative building parking lot. The secondary muster location is by the truck tippers. Both are indicated by a red star on the map shown. Safety data sheets. All contractors must provide an SDS for all chemicals brought on site. A copy of SDSs are located in the control room. SDS information can also be accessed at msdsonline.com. Overhead danger. Be aware of overhead work. Look up prior to walking under conveyors. Areas below overhead work must be barricaded off with danger barrier tape to protect other employees from potential falling objects. Personal protective equipment. Contractors are responsible for providing and maintaining all required PPE for their employees and subcontractors. All PPE must be ANSI ASTM approved. Hard hats are required 100% of the time in the designated areas. ANSI approved hearing protection must be worn at all times in designated areas. Earplugs are located at the front and back door of the administration building. Please see a GRU representative for additional PPE while working on site. Fall protection and elevated work. Fall protection is required by employees and contractors whenever exposed to a potential fall 4 feet or greater. Working on a fixed surface or permanent structure 4 feet or greater off the ground. Working on scaffold staging with more than one level. Working from or traveling in aerial equipment, i.e. aerial lifts or man baskets. Working on portable ladders above 24 feet. Please note the following scaffold and work platforms requirements. Competent persons, as defined by 29 CFR 1926.450 Part B, must be designated to supervise the erecting, moving, dismantling, and alteration of scaffolds. A competent person shall check all scaffolding each shift prior to use to ensure it is of sufficient strength and rigidity to safely support the weight of workers and material to which it will be subjected to. Handrails and toe boards are required whenever fixed working surface is 4 feet or greater off of the ground. Scaffold with staging more than one level. Scaffold inspections. Scaffold should be inspected by a competent person daily prior to use by employees and/or contractors and must be documented on the inspection tag. Requirements for floor holes and openings. One of the following methods listed in order of preference must be used for protecting personnel from falling through floor openings and holes. Method 1. Erect a guardrail system around the floor holes and openings capable of withstanding 200 pounds of force and mark the floor hole with a sign. Method 2. Cover floor holes and opening with a double plate cover designed for 2 times the intended load. The cover must be marked as a floor hole. Method 3 may only be used for short-duration jobs. Erect a red danger barrier tape 6 feet from the edge of the floor opening hole, marked with a floor hole sign denoting 100% fall protection arrest harness is required. This area should be guarded by a dedicated employee at all times while the hole is open, to ensure any person beyond the warning tape uses a fall arrest harness with the lanyard attached to a suitable anchor point 100% of the time they are inside the warning tape. Manholes area protection and access. Opened manholes require a guardrail system and toe boards as shown on this slide. Plant safe work procedures. The following permits shall be obtained from the control room prior to work: lockout tagout, maintenance test, hot work, confined space entry, barrier tape, company, contact person, contact number, excavation and trenching, live electrical work. Pre-task checklist. A pre-task checklist shall be used to identify hazardous work conditions and to specify the procedure and equipment required to perform the work. A pre-task checklist shall be completed and must be signed by each worker daily prior to work. Pre-task checklists will expire 12 hours after issue. Lockout tagout. Contracted employees working under the GRU lockout tagout will have the following 2 options. Option 1. Each individual contracted employee who will be protected by a lockout tagout, LOTO, shall sign onto the LOTO and hang a personal lock on the key control lockbox located in the control room. Option 2 must be used during outage work when multiple contracted employees are working on same job. A single individual will act as a group representative, supervisor, by signing onto the LOTO and hang a personal lock on the lockbox in the control room. The remaining contracted employees will then place their personal lock on a contractor remote lockbox, which contains the keys for the group representative's personal lock. All contractors must provide their own personal lock with the following information: contracted employee's first and last name, company name, cell phone number. Note: all LOTOs must be signed off and personal lock removed from the key control box in the control room at the end of each workday. Hot work permits and fire protection. Hot work permits are required for all work which has the potential for producing a spark or other ignition source, including but not limited to welding and cutting, core drilling, grinding, chipping and saw cutting concrete. Contractors are expected to provide adequate fire protection, such as fire protection blankets, a dedicated fire watch with extinguishers on standby while performing hot work. The work area must be kept clean and free of debris. Combustible waste shall not be present during hot work. Contractors are required to provide their own fire watch. Fire watch duties shall continue at least 30 minutes after hot work is completed. Ensure the area is cooled and there is no visible smoldering or smoke present. Hot work permits will expire 12 hours after issue. To comply with the facility's air permit, Toxic Release Inventory (TRI) and tracking requirements, the contractor shall report to the GRU owner representative at the end of the project on how many pounds and types of welding rods used. Confined Space Permit. All employee and contractors shall comply with GRU Energy Supply Confined Space Entry Program to control and protect personnel from exposure to confined space hazards, to include entrapment, engulfment, and exposure to an immediate danger to life or health, IDLH, environment. The Confined Space Entry Supervisor is responsible for the safe movement of personnel in and out of a permit-required confined space, ensuring that acceptable entry conditions exist, supervising the attendant, overseeing entry processes, coordinating work between different work groups or contractors, and terminates entry as required. Attendant is responsible for monitoring, managing, and recording the movement of personnel in and out of a permit-required confined space, reporting to the entry supervisor. Typically, the attendant is stationed immediately outside the entrance of the space. Heavy load lifting. Ensure the planned lift has been communicated to all affected employees. Ensure a load lift plan is used. Ensure the load has been properly rigged. Verify the operator and signal person understand the communication method to be used, radio, hand signal, etc. Verify the operator and signal person have a clear view of each other and the load where necessary. Supervise the lift until complete. Housekeeping. Keep work area clean and free of debris. Stack materials safely. Route hoses and power cords overhead. Please ensure your work area is cleaned up at the end of the work shift. GRU regards safety as a value, and we encourage our own and contracted employees to be safe for the right reasons. Every day of our lives, at home and at work, we make safety decisions. Do I stand on that chair to reach the light bulb, or do I go to the shop and get a ladder? Do I look at that text that just came on my phone while driving, or do I wait until I am stopped? Safe for the right reasons asks us to think about 4 people in our lives that would be affected if we were injured or killed because of our unsafe actions. While working on this site, another work site, traveling, or working at home, please take a minute to think about your 4. Share this with your coworkers and remind others by showing your 4. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for your participation in the GRU Deerhaven Renewable Contractor Orientation. Please contact your GRU owner representative with any questions or concerns regarding the aforementioned policies and procedures.